her new digs.
Yeah, so she goes to college where she goes to, what is it, Empire State University?
Yeah, I think so.
And she has a roommate who has a cat.
And who is very into knitting.
Yeah.
And I think
Which is fun.
I think some of the she's got posters on her wall that are Pearl Jam. With Pearl written P-U-R-L, and I think that's a knitting term. And then
and
straight
then
back
stitches
yarn
get
forward. Straight back yarn forward. I don't know what that means, but I just thought
I don't know what that was a reference to either. Back straight, yeah.
Yeah, I just think they're
maybe it's like a yoga thing, or I'm not sure exactly.
I just thought they were funny, like yarn puns that I didn't even get. And there's some more of that. Just so jokes and jokes on top of jokes. She meets her new her new roommate, and then immediately
a bad guy's on the horizon. She sees this guy out the window like fly in with like he has a pretty funny looking lion's face vest, and there's like a little tab on the side. It's like, is that even how lions work? Like that doesn't make sense, but it looks cool.
It does look cool. Kraven is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. He's great. And and she sees this, it's immediate call to action. She makes a lame excuse, which sends her roommate into question mode.
Yeah, so there's the constant back and forth of her trying to disguise herself, but doing a terrible job, and that's where like the comedy comes from, is her very feeble attempts at disguising her secret identity and her secret powers.
Oh,
like she's like holding all these heavy boxes, and this guy like offers to help her carry, and she's like, "Oh, I shouldn't reveal how strong I am." And she's like talking to Tippy Toe, and she's like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't be talking to squirrels."
So funny. But also, like, she's also very self-aware and very self-deprecating. She's when she changes into her costume, she's like 20 seconds to change so she's out the door in 20 seconds, and she's got this hilarious costume. And her costume
she gives herself like squirrel ears and like acorn
she has acorn earrings and like, a belt. I don't know what she's got in the belt, but
utility belt. Yeah, it's probably filled with nuts or something.
Yeah, and then like there's that big bushy tail, and then she goes blasting out, but she's not blasting out unarmed or she's not diving into this battle unequipped. She has Deadpool's Guide to Supervillain Cards, and she is looking at card number 15 of 4,522.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the Kraven the Hunter.
Gravy. He loves it. Which is a classic little Deadpool. Like, he probably doesn't love it.
Yeah, it's Kraven the Hunter card, and it gives all of the Kraven different things and stuff, so she knows who she's going to be fighting with. And she gets out, and Kraven, who is a hunter, has caught Tippy Toe. About to crush him.
Oh no, not Tippy Toe. So she has to attack Kraven and do a little bit of battling to save her friend. And I like her technique, because first she kind of does just normal punching, and then has to like decide how she's gonna attack him. So she just like throws him up in the air, and it's like, I'll decide by the time he lands, but by the time he comes back down.
And when she does a double punch, this is super funny. She calls him a jerk who sucks.
Jerk who sucks. Yeah, you guys are gonna have to read this comic to really appreciate all the great lines, because it's almost every panel is something worth a chuckle.
It is a chuckle, and the chuckles stay up. They go through the volume, so that's why I love this comic.
Yeah, like if you like Deadpool for its comedy, I'd say this is right up your alley. Like, there's that it's cheeky.
Yeah, it is very
childish. Yeah.
So Kraven gets her dead to rights, and she is not going to win this fight without.
Well, because I guess he's immortal somehow.
Oh yeah, he's immortal. Only Spider-Man can kill him, and only he can kill
Because
Spider-Man.
that's his. Yeah, because that's their destinies or something like that. So I thought this was a really great way to defeat him. Kind of a clever way, and it shows that she's not just strength and speed, but she's clever like a squirrel.
Clever like a squirrel. How about this? This is another one of my very favorite parts of this first issue. Kraven shoots her with a classic net gun. Mm-hmm. He's the hunter. And he gets her in her net, and she chomps the net, and she says, let's get nuts. And then at the bottom, I want to zoom in on this because it's so funny. At the bottom of this, the next the little word balloon or the little tidbits at the bottom says, "Congratulations to Let's Get Nuts for beating our runner-up, Let's Get Crazy, and let's become eccentric." In the What Should Squirrel Girl Say When Biting Her Way Out of a Net competition 2015. Yeah. It's so funny.
Perfect.
It is very perfect. This is a great comic. Anyhow, she
also, I like how she calls the squirrels to like aid her in battle, kind of like an Aquaman type move. And they're like too quick they dodge his weapons because they're too quick. He's used to battling like large ferocious beasts, not a bunch of little squirrels.
Yeah, so they go into his pants.
Yeah, she's like, should I put him in his pants? Should I put him on his face? Should I just keep throwing him up in the air forever until everything is awesome?
Yeah, and then this is when she comes up with her plan to dig through more of Deadpool's cards and finds a creature that Kraven the Hunter could not resist hunting, and it's under the water.
She's like, if you're the greatest hunter, you shouldn't be going after me and these squirrels. You should go after a giant whale.
And this thing is called
Gigantus?
Gigantos. Giantos. It's a big monstrous whale that lives under the ocean. And
he's kind of like flexing his arms.
Yeah, he's never gonna catch him. That's the beauty of this. Why are you picking on little squirrel girl and her squirrel friends when you are Kraven the Great Hunter? You could be really showing us what a hunter is all about in an environment where you can't even breathe.
Yeah, and there's 10,000 PSI.
It's awesome. So she tricks him into like giving up the fight and chasing.
And that's the end.
And that's the end
of the battle. She has to go back to her normal life,
right,
in her college dorm.
And there's some funny back and forth with her roommate, and then she also has like a funny like back and forth with just like general population saying this squirrel girl who looks a lot like me but shouldn't be confused with me because I don't
go to school here.
I could see how you could confuse us because we're both super cute. But we're not the same person. It's funny.
But then almost right away we get a hook for our next issue, which I think more comics need is just like, after you wrap up the story, you got to establish the hook. So I want to read the next issue. The squirrel comes from the outside and starts communicating with Tippy Toe, telling him that the stars are getting blocked out.
And I forget this character's name.
He looks like he's holding the Earth
Galactus.
in his hand.
Galactus.
And it looks like he took a bite out of it.
Yeah, it's Galactus.
So this is like so much bigger. Like I thought this was really funny because it's so much bigger than what you think Squirrel Girl's level of bad guy interaction would be. You think like, oh, this hunter guy, perfect type of enemy for Squirrel Girl. Not Galactus, the World Eater.
Yeah. So how's she gonna beat him? We're gonna have to tune in next week.
Well, and I'm hoping maybe she has to team up with some Avengers, but maybe she can do it on her own.
We'll see. James.
We will see.
This was great art. I love this art. I think this is just perfect for Squirrel Girl. And it was
it was perfect tone. It wasn't like impressive art, but it felt very right.
It felt very right. So it's written by Ryan North and art by Erica Hendrickson, and it was published by Marvel Comics. James, did we find your new favorite comic?
You found my fourth favorite comic.
Oh, I'm up there too.
Yeah, I thought this was, like, especially for the genre of kid or funny, it was one of the funniest comics I've read. If we had compared it to last season, I don't think it would have beat out Axe Cop, but I thought it was better than like a Lumberjanes. Like, if you liked Lumberjanes, you would love this.
Yeah. And it is better than Lumberjanes. I thought this was more put together.
Yeah.
Very fun stuff. Well, I put it at number 6, and it bumped out BPRD. So.
Yeah. What was it? What was it right under? What was still better?
Oh, I'd have to go back into my notes.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
We'll learn more next week. What do we got coming up next week, Larry?
Well, next week, I was happy to see that this is new to Comixology. Oh, also, before we blast it off, I also wanted to say that Saga Volume 2 is new to Comixology Unlimited. So if you got that first 5 issues and you wanted to keep going, Volume 2 popped up tonight. But this is written by Al Feldstein with art by Jack Davis of Mad Magazine fame and TV Guide.
Oh.
And this is it's a collection of horror stories, and I felt like we needed a couple horror stories. And
all right.
We're going to read
it up after some Squirrel Girl.
We're going to read the first two ones. The first 2 of these 20 stories, I think, in this collection. And the name of this, it's a horror comic called Taint the Meat. It's Humanity and Other Stories.
Taint the Meat. It sounds a little bit comedy horror.
Comedy horror. And it's kind of in the vein of an eerie comic, hosted by and Crypt Keeper, that sort of thing. It looks really good, and I just love Jack Davis's art. He is so funny. So horror comic, which we haven't done for a while. So I want to talk about some scary. So everybody's going to come back next week, I hope, and visit our new Facebook page. Find us on Facebook. We're there. SN1CBP.com. No, SN1CBP.Facebook.
Yeah.
That's how you find us, right?
Sounds
and come back next week, and we'll have some more of this fun.
Sounds good, Larry.
And
cheers.
And cheers. And thanks for being here this week. And visit our website at sn1cbp.com.
Cheers.
Cheers. We're almost out. So so you had to work on Monday, and you have to work at 3 a.m. tonight.
Yeah, I know.
But
I'll be hitting the sack early.
Yeah,
And drinking some energy drinks in the morning.
Yes.
They have a different one over here. They have this thing called V.
V, does it look like crappy off-brand like Red Bull? Is it the same skinny can?
It's in the same kind of can, but it's maybe more monstery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I bet they have a crappy off-brand. I love that part.
No, it's actually better, I think.
Oh, there's probably less sugar in it.
I'm not sure what's different about it, but I like the flavor better.
All right. Well, I don't drink any of that stuff. I'll take your word for it. I'm strictly coffee.
Strictly coffee, yeah.
All right.
That's good for you.
All right, James. We'll see you next week.
All right. See you next week,
Bye.
Larry. Bye.
Bye.